This video goes over using your own analysis to find out if a word is a verb, adjective, adverb, or noun. And it's going to try and teach you how you should tell the difference. Okay, so to begin with, we have a few examples down here. Okay, this is the best way to learn, through looking at these examples. Okay, so firstly, let's think about what each word is. So a verb, up here we have a verb written down, and a verb is a doing word. Okay, so if something is to be done, it has to be done by someone or some object, right? Something can't just happen without someone or some object causing it to happen. Okay, so that's why a verb goes hand in hand with a noun, and that's why we have to look at all these words together in this video. Okay, so firstly, let's look for the actions. So the first one, if we look at this first sentence here, we can see the dazzling rays of sun burst through the door. Now we need to work out which one is the action there, and to help us figure out which one the action is, we can work out which objects there are that could be doing the action. Okay, so dazzling is not an object, is it? Rays, they are kind of an object, and the sun, obviously that's an object that we see every single day. So it's actually the sun, the rays of sun, that are doing it. And that gives us the clue, which leads us to burst as the verb. Okay, so that's the verb for the first sentence. Now let's look at this second sentence. The second sentence is saying water trickled softly down the side of the waterfall. So the thing, the object that we have, should be pretty clear. It's water. And the verb is then right next to it. It's trickled. So if you see something trickling, it means it's flowing slowly towards something. In this sense, it's water trickling down the side of a waterfall. So trickled means moved slowly. Okay. Now we have the third sentence, and it says a demonic sound echoed out from the dark, scary cave. So what is it that the object is in this sense? Well, the object is the sound. The sound is the thing, is the noun in this sentence. And that shows us that the sound must be doing something, and that will give us the verb, because a verb is a doing word. So let's look at what the sound's doing. The sound is echoing, so the sound echoed. Echoed is the verb in this. So all the verbs are in green for these three sentences so far. Now the fourth sentence is about a roar, so similar to a sound. So that should give you a clue. A roar is a type of sound, so a roar is also an object. Okay, so let's look for what the roar did. It was the action to do with the roar is released. So when you release something, you let it go. Okay, so the roar was released from the lion's mouth. So in this sense, we're trying to pretend that the lion's mouth was kind of capturing the roar, and it let it go, and that's why we could hear it. So the next one is total silence drowned the room. So the thing would be silence. And what's the silence doing? Well, it's drowning it. It's not really going to drown a room. We can't drown a room with silence. But this is why it's a kind of metaphor. It's kind of like a poem, when you say things but you don't mean exactly what you say. Okay, so that's all the verbs. Now we'll look at the nouns, okay? We've actually looked at them pretty briefly just then. So for this one we have rays and we have sun. Those are both nouns because we can see those things. They're both objects that we see. And nouns are things, places, people, and kind of feelings as well sometimes, like happiness. But that's in another video. Okay, so another noun up here is water. We know that because it was the water that trickled, and water is an object that we can touch. So here we have another one, and this one is sound. A demonic sound, but sound is the object, sound is the noun. And here we knew that it was roar because roar is a type of sound. And here we knew it was silence because the silence is a thing. Even though silence is kind of not something you can hear, it's still something, isn't it? So it has to be a noun. Okay, and the next one we can look at is, let's look at adjectives next, okay? So adjectives, they're very important. They make our sentences more interesting, they add detail to it. So here we have our first adjective, it's dazzling. And we know that's the adjective because it's describing how the sun is. So it's a dazzling sun because it's so bright. The water trickled softly down the side of the waterfall. Now this one doesn't actually have an adjective, but it does have an adverb, which is describing how it moved. But we'll go over that later. This one does. It's demonic, which means evil. Okay, so it was an evil sound. This one does. It was deafening. It was a deafening roar, which means a very loud roar. And this one does as well, because it says total silence, and that means complete silence. Okay, now for the last but not least, we've got adverbs. Okay, so adverbs are really, really important. They describe how something is done. So they're actually describing the action word, which is the verb. So here we have no adverbs in the first sentence. In the second sentence, we do. We have water trickled softly down the side of the waterfall, and softly is describing how it trickled. So softly is the adverb that describes the verb right next to it in green. A demonic sound echoed out from the dark, scary cave. There are no adverbs in there, nothing describing how it echoed, and nothing in the one about the roar of the lion, and there's nothing in the other one either. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of what verbs, nouns, adverbs, and adjectives are, and how to find them in a sentence.